All right. So now we have with
So this
Bronstein.
one is against the Grandmaster Bronstein. Bronstein was one of the best Soviet players ever. He played once a match for the I mean for the championship. He could become also world champion against Botvinnik. He was leading during the match and he had a very good chance to become world champion. Finally, the match was even 12-12, and the Botvinnik
Kept
could
the
retain,
title.
he kept the title. It was the rule in that time. The world champion, if the match was even,
He
he
can
was
keep.
holding the title. So again, very clear opening, the so-called Panov attack for white, and this one with bishop g5 is the so-called Botvinnik attack, against the Panov, And bishop g4 is very risky. Instead of bishop g4, black could play something else, of course. e6, d takes um, c4, queen a5, queen b6, many possibilities, Bishop g4 is very risky because it gives this move the possibility to play bishop e2. Now everything comes with tempo. Now if you go back to e6, which is a tactical possibility, after bishop e6, white has a very strong counter move, bishop f3, threatening something very unpleasant. I mean, here he wants to take a piece. He wants to take in f6 and then in d5, and you lose a piece.
Ah, okay.
So if this is possible, you have to take in e2. Therefore, bishop g4 was a little bit risky.
Hmm.
If white didn't play bishop e2, then it's very good as move, bishop g4. Now it was a little bit provocative and gives white a very good tactical chance. So here you continue to play like this, because if you play simply e6, white is clearly better. He had time to I mean, the continuation could be like this. If he played e6, normal move, e6.
Yeah.
Okay, now he could take in d5, takes with the pawn, and now simply he can take the pawn. If he wants, he takes in f6. Now, if you take with the pawn, the structure is very bad. If you
Yeah.
take with the queen, for the moment you lost the pawn in d5.
Yes.
Yeah. So okay, it's clearly better for white. So okay, he accepts the challenge and he takes in c4. And now, okay, d5, he goes on. d5, knight d5, and now castle. Okay. We saw the result. Now, white has some initiative. I mean, he's better tactically, and black has some problem with his king and to take out his pieces. For the moment, the rook from a8 and bishop f8 don't play. So he continues with h6. He doesn't want to give too many chances. I mean, to take in f6 is probably all right, but he can even take back with the pawn from e7, and comes immediately in d6 or somewhere with the bishop. He has time to castle it very quickly, and is very little for white. Even if he has something, is very little. So he continues to play tactically. So okay, bishop f4, knight e6, check first. So he goes queen d7, and now he recaptured the pawn and has still the initiative. It's a very good position for white, clearly better. Okay, we'll see what happens later on. So, of course, with tempo, and now he plays queen b3. All right, now, very, very quickly, he accepts, the challenge, and he tries to play something very quite tactically himself, Bronstein, because he was this kind of player. Like he played a little bit like Tal.
Mm.
I mean, he was very, very, very strong tactically, and okay, he gives a pawn for initiative. Okay, now he comes back with the queen. Now he gives the pawn from b7. He comes immediately with the bishop in c5, and he has time to castle. He gave a pawn for some initiative. Okay, if white doesn't do something very quickly, he has time after castle to take back the pawn with initiative after rook b8,
Yeah.
later on. But white plays very quickly knight d4, and after knight d4, he has time to come with the rook in e1,
Win the queen.
winning something.
Oh no. Okay.
So now what to do? I mean, if you want to continue tactically, you have to give the queen. It seems that black has very strong compensation for this kind of position. I mean, he gives the queen for very strong initiative. But it's not like this. Black doesn't have enough, even if the position looks very nice for white. Okay, so here he has something compared with the opening. Black is playing. I mean, has very active position, but it's not enough because he has some weakness. The pawn from e6 is weak, and for the moment, white has the queen. You see.
Yeah.
Okay, so there now he continues bishop c7. Very good. The rook comes back and has time to move the knight. You see. So he's attacking the bishop, and what to do now? If you take in in b2 after knight d6, we are lost. I mean, bishop takes b2, knight d6 wins immediately, or even knight takes a7. But okay, knight d6. So knight takes a7 or knight d6 wins. He attacks the rook, he attacks the bishop, winning. You see.
Oh, okay.
So what to do? Bishop e5. Unfortunately for black, he has to do this. So now has time to takes, and he continues. Now he took another pawn. Has every end game is completely winning for white because the two passed pawns A and B win. But here he has the queen against the rook and knight. If black doesn't have enough in a few moves, is enough to win the game. You see?
Yeah.
So okay, every piece is very well centralized. Now it's enough to control the central squares. So knight g6. And here again, very strong, h4. Now what to do? Then knight comes to f4, but it's too late. Now after queen e4,
He resigned.
he resigned because it's clear he doesn't have enough.
Yeah.
He controls everything. He wants to come back with the knight in d4 or in d6, controlling again. And he wants also to play g3. If he has time to play g3, you lose also the pawn from e6, and it's much too much.
Yeah.
Of course. So Tal won again. Very
Yes.
tactical game, of course, and against a very tactical player like Bronstein. It was
So
like this, move by move, all
for
the
Tal
time.
was first tactics and second strategy, or
Well, both of them together. He was a
mm,
fantastic player. I mean, he knew strategy also very well.
mm,
He was one of the best players ever, in chess history.
true
But in tactics, he was, very,
magician.
very dangerous. You could lose in any position with Tal in tactics, you see.
Hmm, hmm.
But it was always like this. Not everything was right. I mean, he sacrificed. He liked to sacrifice, but not every sacrifice completely right.
Completely right.
Maybe it was a small hole somehow, you see.
Hmm.
If it was a small hole, you had a very good chance. If everything was right, okay,
No chance. But
no
you
chance.
said the difference between him and Bobby Fischer was if
Well,
Bobby
Bobby was
sacrificed,
like the computer. I mean, if Bobby had a
sacrifice.
saga, you could resign immediately. You didn't want to calculate or something. It was right, you see.
So there was no mistake.
No mistake.
Nice. Thank you.
So
Mm.
therefore, in one moment, it was such a. In one moment, Tal, he was admiring Fischer. Well, everybody was admiring Fischer. Even Spassky, after he lost the match, and he was a
A fan
very,
of.
very big fan of Bobby. So therefore, he had to leave the Soviet Union later on. You see, because the Russians considered that it was too much to admire Bobby after losing the match. So like this. So look, what could declare Tal himself. Uh, I mean, he was admiring Fischer, and he said that we had a very good chance, all the player, I mean, every player of the world, that goddess Kaisa, the goddess from chess,
Yeah.
was sending us Fischer, the biggest genius of chess, between us. I mean, the
Mm.
rest of the the players. I mean, this is fantastic. Such a
From Tal.
declare for Tal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that tells everything, no?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome.